And we start with breaking news tonight. Public reports this evening say the former aide to Congressman Tony Gonzales, who took her own life last year, had been having an affair with the congressman. That's according to the Express News. Regina Santos-Aviles died in September after setting herself on fire. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Martinez.
I'm Mandy Noel. Melissa Vega is at the live desk with the story.
Well, the Express News reporting tonight, a former staffer in Tony Gonzales' district office who worked closely with the aide, Regina Santos-Aviles, says she told him they had an affair in 2024 and that she spiraled into a depression after her husband discovered the relationship. And Congressman Gonzales abruptly cut her off. The former staffer also reportedly sharing with the Express News a screenshot of a text message from Santos-Aviles in which she acknowledged having an affair with our boss. The staffer, who asked not to be named, citing a fear of retaliation, faulted Congressman Gonzales' office for failing to intervene, saying he warned the congressman's district director months before Santos-Aviles' death that he was concerned about her well-being. The newspaper also reporting an attorney for Santos-Aviles' husband said that her romantic relationship with the congressman was an open secret and that he does not believe it played a role in her death. Authorities also said there was no evidence of foul play in her death. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office ruled her death a suicide by self-immolation, meaning that she set herself on fire. Officials on scene back in September reported that she doused herself with gasoline. She was taken to the hospital with severe burns, but she did not survive. And News 4 San Antonio and other media outlets have requested records from the Uvalde Police Department related to the investigation into her death. We were seeking those records not for any graphic photos or videos, but because Santos-Aviles was a public official and the questions surrounding her death could have political implications. And for months, several outlets, including the Daily Mail, were circulating rumors of an affair, which Congressman Gonzales denied at the Texas Tribune Festival back in November, saying that he wanted people to remember Santos-Aviles for the work she did in the community. We, of course, will continue to follow this story and let you know what develops. That is the latest from the Live Desk.
For you.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Mandy Noel. An alleged affair, text messages, and calls to resign. New details about a reported relationship between Congressman Tony Gonzales and a former staffer who took her own life. The staffer is Regina Santos-Aviles, who took her own life by setting herself on fire last year. Congressman Gonzales is now accusing his primary opponent of politicizing the allegations. Tonight, News 4 is pressing for answers. We're asking Congressman Gonzales about the claims against him and the potential political implications. The News 4 I-Team's Jordan Elder joins us with the developments.
A former staffer sharing messages with the San Antonio Express News that appear to show Regina Santos-Aviles acknowledging a relationship with Congressman Tony Gonzales. In a response today, Gonzales says the timing of all of this needs to be taken into account. We've obtained bombshell messages from former Regional District Director Regina Santos-Aviles about her boss, Congressman Tony Gonzales. The San Antonio Express News verifying these texts between a former Gonzales staffer and Aviles. She says she had an affair with our boss. First responders were called to Aviles' Uvalde home in September, reporting that she doused herself in gasoline. She was rushed to a San Antonio hospital, but later passed away. The Bexar County Medical Examiner ruling her death a suicide by self-immolation, setting herself on fire. Rumors of an affair had been circulating since her death, but these messages are the first potential documentation. In a statement Wednesday, Gonzales pointed to politics. He accuses his primary challenger, Brandon Herrera, of pushing this story the day early voting started. Quote, "I am not going to engage in these personal smears." Gonzales and Herrera went head-to-head in the 2024 Republican primary, Gonzales winning by about 350 votes. As they head into the rematch, Herrera is calling on Gonzales to resign, saying in a statement he broke House ethics rules and public trust. Other Republicans have joined that call, including State Representative Wes Ferdell, whose House district overlaps with some of Gonzales' congressional district. In a post, he says Gonzales shows no remorse. Gonzales has largely avoided questions about these allegations. These are his first comments since the Texas Tribune Festival in November. There, the congressman called Aviles' death tragic.
You know, my name's on the door, and so I'm not like people throwing rocks at me, saying ugly, nasty things. I totally get that. But the rumors are completely untruthful.
A federal source told us the former staffer who shared the messages previously worked in Gonzales' office, but is now involved with Democratic campaigns in California. According to the Express News, the former staffer said he is not being paid and has not been offered money by Gonzales' opponents. We reached out to the Herrera campaign for comment. Gonzales' office has not responded to follow-up questions from our team. President Trump endorsed Gonzales for this race back in December. Jordan Elder, News 4 San Antonio.
Tonight, political opponents call for Congressman Tony Gonzales to resign as new information emerges about an alleged affair with a staffer. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Mandy Noel. That staffer later took her own life. News 4 San Antonio's Jordan Elder spoke with the attorneys for the staffer's husband, who says the family, not the congressman, are the victims.
Constant denials are what finally spurred Adrian to say, I am tired of Tony calling my wife a liar, calling me a liar, calling his staffer a liar, when the only liar around is Tony Gonzales.
Strong words from attorney Bobby Barrera about how Congressman Tony Gonzales is handling the recent headlines. Text messages released by a former staffer show Regina Santos-Aviles acknowledging an affair with her former boss. And Barrera says that's not the only evidence.
We have all the texts. I've seen them, I've read them, and there's nothing that Tony can say that would dispute the texts that he sent back and forth with Regina, clearly being related to a sexual affair.
Santos-Aviles died in September after setting herself on fire. Barrera is now representing her husband. He says the marriage issues, her mental health, and her eventual decline all point back to Gonzales. So when the congressman released this statement Wednesday, pointing to his opponent, Brandon Herrera, saying this was an attempt to score political points, Barrera says it was too much for Regina's husband.
He has to live with this issue now that his wife's death has become a political football between two candidates vying for a political office.
What are the next steps for you and your team as this moves forward?
We're going to explore any potential legal issues, legal remedies, potentially the sexual harassment and workplace harassment after the discovery of this affair.
As for the political fallout, the San Antonio Express-News has pulled their endorsement of Congressman Gonzales. They were the first to report the staffer's allegations. President Donald Trump endorsed Gonzales in December, and at this time, it still stands. Jordan Elder, News 4 San Antonio. How is Adrian doing? Obviously, this is a tough news cycle that I'm sure he's having to see a lot of.
Well, clearly, it wasn't Adrian who brought this issue to the public domain. It was a staffer from Tony Gonzales's office. So Adrian is having to deal with the emotional reality that political fodder is being made of his wife's demise. And so it's clearly troubling for him and his son emotionally.
How old is their son now?
I believe he's 7, going on 8.
Wow. What do you know about when this affair started? Was this something that was widely known about?
The affair was discovered in early June of 2024, and there's evidence that it may have been going on for at least a month, based upon staffers' knowledge of their locations being together at some remote cabin on some river. The affair was discovered in early June, and through texts that were observed by Adrian. And so it began there with the conflict between, of course, Adrian and Regina. And then after the discovery, the conflicts became more apparent between Tony and Regina in the workplace.
What was it about those messages that convinced Adrian that this was happening?
Well, when you say it was the messages were the discovery, the confirmation was Regina's admission. And so when Tony goes public in the domain saying to his constituents and to all the world that this is a political hack job by his opponent. What he's doing is calling this beautiful, spirited person that he had an affair with, he's calling her a liar. But certainly Adrian and Regina would not have split up over innuendo. And this is an admission by Regina that she was having an affair with her boss, Tony Gonzales.
Has Adrian shared with you anything about the nature of those messages between Regina and the congressman?
Well, we've had a forensic download, so I have seen any number of texts and pictures back and forth between them. Adrian is aware of them, but Adrian, because of the emotional impact of reading these things, has not viewed all of these messages with any particular interest other than the acknowledgement that she was having an affair.
Why has Adrian chosen to retain you as this plays out in front of the public eye?
Adrian contacted me in regard to any particular potential litigation issues, any fallout issues resulting from the office place harassment that his wife was enduring. And but this issue being in the public domain is not Adrian's doing. But I was contacted for the purposes of exploring potential legal remedies on his wife's behalf for the workplace harassment and sexual harassment that she was subjected to.
At this point, do you believe that the allegations of the affair had anything to do with her death when she took her own life last year?
It's clear to me after a thorough investigation forensically and interviewing witnesses that the discovery of the affair put into place a series of events that led to her emotional and personal demise to the degree that being ostracized at work, excluded from the job that she loved, having lost the trust of her husband because of this affair, that all of these things continued to drive her into an emotional despair, which resulted in her engaging in conduct that actually took her own life. The question is, did Tony cause her to kill herself? And it's a very specific question, and I can only tell you that Tony was actively involved in the conduct that caused her to end up hurting herself, not only in manipulating her into an affair, but once the affair was discovered, in the workplace harassment and ostracizing her in the workplace and excluding her from her job. That's why the staff knew exactly what was going on because of the change in her employment status. So yes, the affair, the discovery of the affair, the workplace harassment, all contributed to her mental decline, which again, the point of inception is the affair with Tony Gonzales.
Was there a point where the affair ended? Was it called off at any point?
To my knowledge, after the discovery of the affair in June of 2024, I don't have any record of any continued meetings or contacts. And again, that's the point at which Tony began to distance himself from her in public life and in office life, according to his staffers who have already come forward.
What are the next steps for you and your team as this moves forward?
Well, we're going to explore any potential legal issues, legal remedies. The Congressional Accounting Act specifically deals with congressmen and elected officials who have engaged in workplace harassment or sexual harassment. And there are some remedies available through that. But again, we're here today not because of Adrian. We're here today because one of Tony's own staffers could not take any longer his denial of a relationship that everyone at the office knew was a real affair. And so we're going to continue to explore potentially the sexual harassment and workplace harassment after the discovery of this affair.
Is there anything else you think is important for people to know as they watch this situation in the headlines?
Oh, I think Adrian wants everyone to know that this is not about Tony Gonzales's political career. This is conduct that he engaged in, which caused the death of Adrian's wife, their son's mother, and that she should not get lost in this alleged victimization of Tony Gonzales, because she is the true victim in this case. And Adrian wants people to know that he wants her memory honored. And this is not anything to do with him going after Tony's elected position, because again, we didn't bring this to light. Adrian didn't bring this to light. He's only responding to the media crash because of the allegations made by Tony's own employees. Adrian has known about this affair since June of 2024. You have not seen Adrian go public with one bit of information until the staffer came forward. Adrian's issue is with the constant denial by Tony Gonzales that he had an affair with Regina. It's bothersome to Adrian that Tony is trying to walk away from a situation that he clearly created, had a clear hand in the death of this young lady. And his constant denials are what finally spurred Adrian to say, I am tired of Tony calling my wife a liar, calling me a liar, calling his staffer a liar, when the only liar around is Tony Gonzales. And that's why Adrian has come forward, and that's why Adrian has the emotional angst that he does, because he has to live with this issue now that his wife's death has become a political football between two candidates vying for a political office.